Hey everybody, I am Julie Matheny. I am a speech pathologist and an IBCLC International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, and I love to talk about technology for breastfeeding because I want to make sure that you reach your goals when feeding. So today I want to talk about the Ardo Alyssa breast pump. Now I am not sponsored by this company. They have not paid me. This is not a paid promotion. Most of the pumps that I review, I either purchase with my own monies. I may have been given them by a patient, so they've used it and are done with it or whatever. So I'm not paid for or sponsored by Ardo, but I want to talk about this. So we're going to unbox this. I'm going to show you how to set it up. I'm going to show you how to use it and review it. Now, while I'm taking this out of opening the box, I like the company Ardo. Ardo is a Swiss company. They're a really old company. They've been around for a long time. They are WHO code compliant. The WHO code, the World Health Organization, made a basically code in the 80s that was like, hey, we really want to promote breastfeeding worldwide. And so they made a code that said that you couldn't market formula, bottles, bottle nipples, as being superior or better than formula. So what does it mean for a pump company to be WHO code compliant? Well, it means that you're never going to find them on a tickety talk sponsoring influencers to promote their pumps. Okay, so it means that they're providing educational information and support for breastfeeding, that they're not selling bottles and they're not selling formula. They're not promoting them or selling them or advertising for them. It is also meaning that they're not using images of bottle feeding or formula feeding, and they are not gifting or giving discounts or promos for their products. They are trying to stay WHO code compliant. So it doesn't mean that they're not allowed to sell breast pumps. It means that they can sell and use breast pumps, especially for NICU or preemie families where we're trying to improve breastfeeding once they discharge or get mature or older, for exclusive pumpers, for working parents, and for those with medical or latch issues. So Ardo is a company. I like the company. So now we're going to do a little diggity dive into their pump. So the Ardo Alyssa can come with your traditional setup, your flanges and bottles. It can also come as this portable option. Okay, and we're going to talk about pros and cons of both setups. So when I take this one out of the box, this particular one comes with the collection cups. Okay, a lot of cups on the market. This is a deep cup. Okay, so if you put this in your bra, you're going to look like you've got a pretty phenomenal wonder boob in there. Okay, so it is a big cup. It's not discreet, but it is a collection cup and instead of the dangly pieces. This is going to have a top piece that is going to connect to the tubing. When we take this apart, it is silicone, which I do love me a good silicone collection cup. And like all the other collection cups on the market, it's going to have a backflow protector so your milk doesn't get into the tube, and a duckbill membrane. These two pieces are what generate your suction. They come off for cleaning. So the duckbill goes on here. They do need replaced occasionally depending on how much you're pumping. This one goes on the top, and you do have to make sure that it sits on there really nice so that it's all the way on to generate your suction. And then it comes into the cup. It's not too futzy. Some of these collection cups are a pain in the butt to get on, and if you don't have them clicked on just right, you will leak your milk all over yourself. You'll have a bra full of milk. So do be careful that it's on. Although I do find this less futzy to get on than some of the other cups. Fairly easy on that. And then again, this is going to pop on the top for your tubing. Okay, this does have a silicone cup. It is a little deep. So if you have a softer, doughier breast with a smaller nipple, it is going to have a harder time getting down into this cup. You can kind of see how deep it is. I don't know if you can see how deep that is to get in there. This one does have a 24 millimeter on the back, and it did come with 19 millimeter inserts. These are just your standard inserts. You can get these on Amazon, so you can change the diameter of this to go smaller. So that's one cup. Second cup is already set up. Okay, so here's your next collection cup because we need two. It's going to have tubing kind of like the Baby Buddha, meaning you're going to have two tubes, one for each side, that is going to go into this is a splitter. So you have one pump motor that's divided by 2 breasts. So if you want to increase your motor by 20 to 25%, you would pump single pump, because instead of dividing the motor between 2 breasts, you're now using one motor for 1 breast. So if you need more strength, you would just pull one tube off and cap this. Now, the thing I do love about this is if you don't like the Ardo cups, you can use this tubing with any other setup that you already have. So if you have pumpables, if you have a Spectra, if you have the Medela that you got in the hospital, you can connect this tubing to whatever setup that you already like. Because I don't have it, this one happened to come with the cups. If you get their traditional flanges, this piece doesn't come off. It's 25, 26 millimeters. So not the standard 24. You can put inserts in it, but it's one piece. So you can't hack it to other flanges like Lactec or Pump and Pal or different shapes or sizes. You're stuck with the hard plastic that they have, but you can hack it to other setups because of the tubing. So I'm not a fan of their hard plastic flanges with the bottles because you can't use them with any other products. You can go smaller in diameter with inserts, but if you need a hard plastic flange or you need a complete silicone flange, harder to hack with what you get in the box. Okay, so let's continue on to the pump. When you open up the pump, it's not going to come charged. Now, with the magic of television, I already unboxed this. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but we do that all the time in TV, right? So I already charged it. It does come with the USB charging cord and a plug. So do know some pumps will come charged out of the box. This one I had to charge. I charged it before I got on here, okay? So there's that. One complaint that I have heard from patients is that the battery life, it's supposed to be like 4 to 5 hours, but not everybody gets that across time, meaning it'll hold its charge for the first couple weeks to months. And then biggest complaint is some people saying that the battery life wears out faster with time. Now, this is a pretty decently big pump, right? So this is my iPhone. It's a little bulkier. And when you look at the side, like, this is a chunky pump, okay? So it is much chunkier than the Baby Buddha. If you saw my review on the Lancino Thrive the other day, this is much bigger than that. And the other biggest complaint is that there's no belt clip or loop. So while they have this like lanyard thing that comes in the box that you can like wrap around it and tie around the pump, you can like stick it on the back. You're holding this or carrying this or putting it in a bag because there's no belt loop or tie or anything like that. So buyer beware on that. Charging is on the top there. When you are using this, you would plug it into the bottom. Okay. And then you're popping these tubes into either your cup at the top, okay, or you're putting it into some other pump flange setup. So you're putting this into the top. So with this particular pump, what I actually do like, you to turn it on, you're going to hold it for 2 seconds. Some people do also find this panel futzy. It's all touch technology, so it could accidentally turn on in your bag. It can accidentally get switched if you're not like setting it on a table to use. It's fairly quiet, so I have it turned on. So it's not super loud, which I like, right? Like, I don't want everybody in the whole world knowing that I'm pumping if I'm trying to discreetly pump. This pump does have an app that you can connect to. It also does have a memory button. So if you want to program your settings, you know how you trigger your letdowns, you can do that. Now, what I love about an Ardo pump is that the settings are independent from each other. Yay, a pump company that actually did that. So your speed and your vacuum, you can control separately. That's my biggest complaint with so many other pumps on the market, right? Is that they have speed and vacuum connected, so that if you go faster, it goes longer, or if you want it stronger, it pumps longer. So this one is independent. Yay! Their stimulation mode is 72 to 102 cycles, which I love. That's a nice fast stimulation. And their expression is 20 to 50 cycles. So the expression is a little bit slower. If you're used to a Spectra, that starts at the 70 for the stimulation, and it goes 38 to 54 on expression. So the Spectra and the expression mode will go just slightly faster. But again, I'm not mad because this has the option in the stimulation mode to go stronger. So some people could stay in that stimulation mode and use the higher, faster, lighter for stimulation, and stay in stimulation but go harder to be able to express well. So again, this one we can take that vacuum up, but it doesn't change the speed. Yay! And we can take those cycles faster. Okay, so you can go faster and then you can go slower with those, right? So it is a lot slower, but you have that ability. This one also will pump for 2 minutes on stimulation and then automatically kick over. Okay, so this one you can change your modes here. So there's your stimulation, and we can increase speed and increase suction. Okay, 64 different options to play around with speed and strength. So I do love that in a pump. Okay, and if we touch it again, it can be a little finicky. It's being finicky for me. It's being finicky. There we go. Now I'm switching over. So slower. Okay. So this one, this is what's going to switch you from stimulation to expression. Okay. So decent little pump. Let's put my suction on it and see what happens, because I love using science. So we're going to pull out my, thank you, Hygeia. I know you're a different pump company, but this actually measures how hard it sucks. So we're going to put this one on this side. It does say up to, I believe, 280 millimeters of mercury. Okay, so we're going to see what this does. So nice, light, gentle pump right now. I'm going to turn my vacuum up. Nice straight pull. Okay, it's not going to jiggity jaggedy up, right? Nice straight firm pull. This is a stimulation mode. So I'm going to turn the vacuum down. And yeah, the buttons are a little fussy. So this is the fastest that this pump will go. Okay, it's about 107 cycles a minute. So really nice, light, gentle. I can also go fast, and when I take that up, that's decent. I'm not mad at that. So we're hitting at about 140. So I'm going to turn it over into the other mode, and I'm going to take that cycle to 50. So this is a 50-ish, and take that vacuum up all the way to the top. So there we go. We're hitting at about 200 with a nice straight pull. So this pump, honestly, in my opinion, is way better than Medela pumping style, because this actually has settings that you can play around with. It's not just Medela's where you have two, like you have one speed and then you just play around with vacuum. Like this one can actually get you some pretty decent suction and some pretty decent speed. So I'm not mad at this pump. This is as hard as it will go, as hard and fast as it will go for stimulation mode. If we take the cycles down. So this, again, the Ardo Alyssa, pros and cons of this pump. I really like that it's quiet. I like that you can hack this to other flanges. They have cups or they have a flange option, and you do have a lot of cycles, cycle speeds and vacuum strengths to use. It is a little bit bigger and bulkier, but it's still pretty quiet. The touch screen can be a little futzy, and again, I've heard some complaints about the battery. Let's talk practically, right? I see a lot of patients that get their breast pump from insurance. I love a Spectra S1. I love a Unimum Opera. I love the Pumpables Genie Advance, the Baby Buddha. Baby Buddha is very strong on the other end of that spectrum. But sometimes you can't get some of those pumps. Honestly, if this is an option, I would always pick this over a Motif, over a Medela, over a lot of the other pumps that are on the market. So if you're looking for a portable pump, not a bad option. If you've used this, tell me what your thoughts and opinions are on this pump. Okay, so there's the Ardo Alyssa. Now you know.